Well, we're sitting here at Matera Vineyards in Napa with owner Brian Cunat and his son-in-law Harry Heitz. And this is a family operation you've got going here, right? You've got
sure
everybody
is.
involved.
It absolutely is. From the day we bought it, my brother and I decided this was a great place to put an investment in. We love wine. We love the idea of producing good wines. And so since day one, yes, it's been a family operation.
Yeah.
My oldest daughter was actually how we got into this real quickly was she was into looking for a job here at a green hotel and she found a job here in the Napa Valley. We came to visit that place of employment and ultimately we took a wrong turn and this property was available for sale.
And Harry, what is your role here, other than being son-in-law?
Yeah, well, that takes up most of my time, but the rest of the time I'm handling all of the marketing and the direct-to-consumer sales and a little bit of our wholesale sales as well.
Well, Brian, take us back to before you had this property, back to your earlier life from the upper Midwest. Where are you from and what did you do before you became a vintner?
We're still doing a bit of that. We made our first profession, if you will, was in the building business, construction, property management. So my brother and I have been successful in that business in the Chicagoland area for 42 years.
Got into you say the Chicagoland area.
Chicagoland area.
That's right.
Yeah.
Chicagoland.
A lot of people here in Napa came from Midwest, and that's where this is from.
Sure.
Got into banking and a few other investments that have done well over the years, but this is the place to be. Absolutely.
And what was your introduction to wine? How did that happen?
I actually did not like wine. I can tell you right now that was not my favorite. As a young person, first getting my ability legally to drink, I tried wine, but it was never very good. My father-in-law, who was from Japan, owned and operated a French-German restaurant. And he introduced me and my wife to really good French wines, Bordeaux wines, and ultimately that's how I got into it. I got to California through Bordeaux, if you will.
Yeah, it wasn't. From what I've learned about your background, the blending of your family and your wife's family was not the easiest thing initially.
Absolutely not. No, I asked when I made the decision to get married. I asked my father-in-law if I could marry his daughter, and he said no. I talked to my parents, and they said no.
So both families were.
Oh yeah. I had a lot of support, there with the family. But went ahead and did it anyway, and in the end, both my in-laws on the Japanese side were very welcoming, cooperative. It worked out. I'm pleased that we've been married now 44 years, and
congratulations.
So it certainly worked out.
Harry, I trust your path into this family was easier than that.
Oh, just
yeah.
a tiny bit.
Yeah. He really paved the way.
He still has another 40 years to go before
So you have your father-in-law to thank for the introduction to wine.
Yes, absolutely.
And then what happened? A whole new world opened up to you?
It really did, and I loved French wines and really focused on the Bordeaux region. That was sort of our kind of our sweet spot. We had a chance to travel to Italy. We fell in love with Italian wines, German wines, but it really wasn't California that was exciting to us until one of our friends from California kind of made us come to Napa. And our very first trip here, he took us to lunch at a local restaurant and served us a Napa wine that was phenomenal. And then he took us to another winery that was phenomenal. And it seemed like everywhere we visited, it got better and better. It already started out good. It got better and better, and that we were hooked. After that trip, we were hooked.
And so when did you decide to acquire this property and start making wine?
Well, yeah, I was mentioning our oldest daughter was looking for a job, and she asked us to check the place out, which we were coming here for a wine tasting trip anyway with another couple. And we took a turn on Oak Knoll Avenue off of 29. Wasn't really our plan, but we did. And ultimately, there was a for sale sign on this piece of property. And in 2007, we closed on the property, and that exact same year was the first year we made wine. So we've been making wine since 2007.
Now, tell me about the name Matera. Where did that come from? Matera.
Well, loosely translated in Latin, it's mother, terra, earth, mother earth. And we've always felt that to make great wine, you have to have good grapes. And there aren't a lot of places that grapes will grow anywhere in the world, almost any continent, any country. But there's only a few sweet spots in the world, and Napa happens to be one of those. Yep. And so Mother Earth has a lot to do with it, the climate and everything, and so we felt that was an appropriate name.
And apart from the interesting name, it's an interesting label design. How did that come about?
Our youngest daughter is Amy, is an art major. She's got a master's degree in art, and she's a professor at Fordham University in New York.
Back in New York.
But also, she's an artist, a fairly acclaimed artist, and continuing to work on that. And she helped us out with all the designs and so on. And it isn't attractive. It really brings in, if you look at the label, you immediately think the grapevine, the cragged vine and the grapes coming off of it and so on. And so it really fits in with the Mother Earth theme.
Art seems to be a primary element in the part of the blend in this room.
Yes.
You've got a lot of artwork in here.
Yes, another advantage that Amy brings to us is she introduces us to some really up-and-coming fantastic artists from the New York region and sometimes other parts of the country, but mainly in New York. And so she's kind of an influence on, well, you should buy one of these and you should buy one of those. And you definitely have to have this person's display in here. And so we've been following that, and it's kind of fun because it brings her flavor into the winery as well as our own, and we enjoy the art as well.
And she played a role in designing this area behind this?
Yes, yes. Both daughters played a role in everything, but Amy had a big influence on this particular room because it has a glass floor that looks down into soil, and it's basically Mother Earth is what you're looking at, as well as the whole concept of having a library of wines that our customers can buy from the very first vintage of red all the way through until somewhere in the future.
Okay, you mentioned soil. I want to hear about this soil and the varietals that you grow here. Why this? What is it about the soil here that is right for the varietals that you grow?
Very, very good question. Napa Valley has been historically known for Cabernet Sauvignon. And Cabernet Sauvignon does very, very well in parts of this valley, most of the valley. Down where we're at here in the Oak Knoll appellation, we have some very good cabs, but we're just cool enough. The temperature here is always about 10 degrees cooler than the north part of the valley. We're just cool enough where Merlot also does extremely well here. It's sort of the sweet spot of the valley for Merlot. And we like the right bank varietals. That's one of the reasons we're excited about being here versus maybe somewhere else in the valley.
Right.
The soils are right for it. They're deeper soils. Merlot grapes like that. And of course the climate, as I mentioned, is perfect. So.
And of course, all of us are experienced wine enthusiasts, and we've had a lot of Bordeaux, and we understand what right bank means. But for people who are watching us, hearing this conversation, don't know what right bank means in Bordeaux. You want to explain the difference between that and the left bank?
Yeah, so in Bordeaux, wines on the left bank of the river are typically dominated by Cabernet Sauvignon in the blend. On the right
left.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
On the right bank, it's Merlot dominated.
Right.
So it's always the 5 Bordeaux varieties, which are Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Petit Verdot, Cabernet Franc,
and Malbec.
Yeah. Very good.
and also, a lot of people don't know, why do you call it right bank or left bank? Well, if you stand in the middle of the river,
the Napa,
and any river,
right,
and the water is hitting the back of your legs, so it's going, you're looking as the water's going away from you. Right bank, left bank.
There you go.
And we happen to be on the right bank, of the Napa River.
Yeah.
And Merlot wines predominantly on the right bank at Bordeaux are going to be Merlot based. So worked out well.
And this Merlot, many people who haven't had a lot of different wine, a lot of experience tasting wine, think of Merlot as being, you know, kind of a weaker little sister to Cabernet or a wimpy wine. This Merlot has great structure. This is a muscular, and I don't mean that in an overpowering way. It's got elegance and finesse, but it's got some power and force also.
Yes. I think that Merlot is one of the two most produced grapes or grown grapes in the world. And I think a lot of times that, bar wines and less expensive wines, they tend to call them Merlots or put Merlots into them. And I think that kind of cheapened the idea of what Merlot grapes can produce. But yet, one of the most expensive grapes or wines produced every single year when it's first released is a Merlot-based wine from Bordeaux. So it can be the best wines, but sometimes it's a little underrated for that.
One of the most memorable features that people talk about relating to Matera Vineyard is not only the quality of your wine, but the way people are greeted when they arrive here before they get to the tasting room. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so all of our tastings are by appointment,
Yeah.
so we know when people are coming. So we'll greet them in the parking lot. Once they get out of the car, they're greeted with a glass of Sauvignon Blanc.
Wow.
And we just do that to make them feel welcome, make them feel special. And then the tasting experience itself is all one-on-one with one of our hosts throughout the tasting. It's not like a bar-type experience where you're just part of a herd. You really feel like you're that special party, and we'll take good care of you.
Now, I haven't made it to the tasting room yet, although I am tasting wine right now. So describe the room to me. Describe the tasting room experience.
Well, so you walk in, it's a beautiful marble tasting room with some art all around. You're directed to our lovely restrooms with Japanese toilets, which is part of the
family influence.
Family influence. There you go.
Bringing it together.
Yeah.
And then we have a bunch of picnic tables sort of surrounding the outside. So here in Napa, usually the weather is nice enough where you can taste outside almost all year round, which is great. Otherwise, we're in what we call the grand tasting room right now, where we have 3 tables like we're set at here, natural wood tables, so we can host groups in here as well.
Right. And if you were asked, well, I'm going to ask you right now, to describe the character of your wines, and I know they're different from the Cabernet to the Merlot, how would you describe the character of the Matera wines?
Boy, that's a complicated question, I will tell you. I would say that our Merlots, as you mentioned, are a bit bolder. They still have a smooth elegance to them, but they definitely are full-bodied reds. They're certainly not wimpy in any which way, shape, or form, and never have been since the first year. Our cabs, we actually source grapes from 3 different locations: Howell Mountain, Diamond Mountain, and Oak Knoll on the Oak Knoll bench, on the west side of Oak Knoll. The characters on all 3 of those are totally different, from being extremely bold. The mountain fruits tend to be a bit bolder and perhaps a bit more tannic, where the Howell Mountain, or the Oak Knoll fruit is going to be more, I call it luscious. It's going to have much more of the blackberry currant type flavors to it. So they're quite different styles. You line them all up, same winemaker, they're going to be quite different. And we try to appeal to different palates with that.
You know, I really like the family story that you have here. The story you told about how you and your wife met and how those 2 families from different cultures blended. And now you've got your daughters and your son-in-law involved in the business. How important is it to you, to each of you, to keep it in the family, so to speak?
Well, I'll start, and then I can go. I'll hear what Harry has to say. I don't know.
Safer,
but as far as I'm concerned, it's extremely important. We wanted to make sure, even on the label, it says Matera Cunat Family Winery.
I noticed that.
To me, that's very, very important, because I feel that the passion of our family in wine shows through in the wines that we're making. And if you don't have that family interpassion, I don't know, maybe don't take it as seriously, but we really take it seriously. And would I love to see that, my children, grandchildren, whatever, continue on? Of course, in my mind, that would be fine and fun, and I'd love to have it, and I'd sort of dream about those kind of things. Passing over to my son-in-law, what do you think, Harry?
I think it's great. I mean, I've always worked in a family business in one aspect or another, so Brian's been the best boss I've ever had.
That's great.
Which is good.
Yeah.
Helps you went to your next review.
I know, it's coming. But no, it's great. I think, and if you look at most wineries around the world, they are family owned.
Yeah.
At every size and shape, they're all pretty much, there's a few corporate wineries out there.
Sure,
but
sure.
Most of the good ones anyway are family owned. So it's a really important part of the wine industry, and it just seems to work.
And now, are family members involved in all the primary steps of the winemaking process? I mean, I don't mean that to get too technical, but from harvest to crush to putting the wine in the barrels. Are you have family members involved in all of that?
Yeah, we're continuously tasting with the winemakers. Ultimately they're the experts and they have a lot of the say, but we can kind of nudge them and say, yeah, we changed this or that a little bit. But yeah, we're very hands-on. I think every year so far we've done a blending event where the whole family comes out plus a few family friends, and we sit down and we'll try different blends of the wines. We'll do 1% of this wine and this lot, and we'll sort of tweak it until we arrive at our perfect.
I know there's a lot of work, but it sounds like a lot of fun as well.
Oh, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a tough job.
You got to enjoy it. And I being this whole project, I didn't want to have it be a project of mine. And so I can tell you that when it comes to my wife plays an extremely active role when it has to do with personnel and people. She plays a very active role when it comes to the taste of the wines, because she's there at those blendings and speaking up quite a bit on which way it should go. Our oldest daughter has, from day one, has taken a very active role in it, and she's also been very much involved with, again, photography and everything. So she continues to be very part of it. I feel that when I come here, it's really coming home to me. Yeah. Every day that I come here, it's coming home, and have a good son-in-law.
Yeah, that's
that helps too. Yeah.
Well, this has been great. The wine, the conversation, the background, I love it all. But no, I think I'd like to taste something out of a barrel. Is that possible? Might we get to that before the day is over?
Absolutely. We have a few thousand barrels to taste from.
Well, I don't have that much time, but if we could stop at 2 or 3 of them, I'd be happy.
So we'll let just take a little bit of this when you go, a little bit of taste more of that, and absolutely.
Oh,
yeah. Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers. And off to the barrel.